Alright, NahSeh with Astro Love Painter back on this second segment of whatever the name this series is going to be. So I left off with my moon in the 8th house representing my mother and relationship to my mother and desiring that deep connection with anybody. Because oddly there's this feeling of a disconnect, not detachment. Detachment is healthy, but disconnect where I don't know really what normal mothering feels like. I've struggled as a mother. I've been told that I'm pretty amazing mother. I have some challenges, have had some challenges in that area. So as a shaman, I searched for quite some time to find somebody that would teach me those ways, and always remembering kind of like a distant drum circle beat in the background. Growing up as a little kid on, being like a head little girl dancer at the powwow and wanting to be a fancy dancer and playing with the kids under the trees and looking at the peacocks, because it's quite normal to see the peacocks roosting up in the trees around the powwows. Actually, that's what my name means. I was named after a male peacock, a fancy bird of many colored plumes, and so it's the male that has the colored plumes. That gets to be another segment too. So, what makes me a shaman? I was named traditionally by my godparents, who were, my godfather was chief of the Shawnee tribe, and it was, if I remember correctly, there were 10 total elders, and they fasted for 3 days until they received my name. And so my path begins there. The fact that I chose to co-create an existence as a Native woman and to come in on a full moon. Full moon is the ending, the culmination of things, the completion. My earliest memory, must have been 2 or 3 years old and still in a high chair and chewing on a green onion. And so green onion is used to, it helps to numb when a baby is teething. So yeah, gosh, I was under 2 years old. I'm 42 right now, and I can remember that long ago. My mother was single then, had left my dad, had left her. My dad was her second husband, and that was good then. I remember that, felt good. I irritated my brother, had an older brother, but that was good memories. Memories from that point on, every time a man was introduced into my world by my mother, he was abusive. And this is what I specialize in, is trauma. With women specifically, I tear down belief systems, and I am able to intrinsically know what the pace of that person is, and that's been through a lot of trial and error, a lot of humble pie, just in life. I was you know, again, I'm looking at this from the soul's perspective. I chose a father that would be placed at a distance. That's what I see that Saturn retrograde in my 11th house doing. That's a representation of patriarchy and masculinity. Not so much Mars. Mars to me is more of a drive, and I'm a with this Libra sun, that's a masculine sign. So Mars for me is more of my drive. And Saturn, you know, ruling the 10th house and ruling Capricorn, I see that as the father. So I chose a mother who would I'm going to begin this by saying that I do not condone anger, hatred, resentment, but sometimes anger is a higher vibration, you know, than being stuck in self-pity and martyrdom. So, I know who my mother is right now. My mother she's passed. She's one of my guides. I honor her. I love her. We have a great relationship now, but in the human form that she and I agreed upon her taking and the relationship that we had shaped me to who I am today. So the story of that is, and this is really hard because I'm like putting this out there. And the purpose of this is to reach out to just anybody who feels alone in this, okay? And I'm not regressing or anything. This is crazy because I'm looking into the monitor right now and seeing my face as this is recording. So this isn't just looking out into nothing. I am literally broadcasting my own reflection and experience. Okay. My mother was in so much pain that she married 4 times. I believe her longest marriage and relationship was to her 3rd husband, who was the primary abuser in my life. And that abuse began by me watching my mother allow him to hit her and put her down and call us names. She allowed my stepfather to run my brother out of the house, and that was who he was abusing mainly. And I don't know if it ever became sexual, but I know that I watched him just beat the crap out of my brother. And when he left, the attention turned on me. I have a memory of my mother allowing my stepfather to come into my room. I was about 2nd grade, so 7, 8 years old. And I pretended to be asleep, and they stood in my doorway while she performed a sex act, okay? I don't want to get too deep into this because I don't even let my kids watch YouTube unless I'm in the room. I want to monitor it, so I want to honor the fact that there could be children that come across this. And on that note, if you, I don't care what age you are, if anybody is doing something that you feel hurts you, and that is an adult and they should not be And adults should be loving to you, and unfortunately, they can let us down. They're humans too, and they can let us down. But when a child is being subjected to physical, emotional pain of any sort, then you, or if you're aware of it, you need to go to the authorities immediately, because when I finally spoke up, I was 18 years old. It took until I was 18 years old, and I had told my best friend's dad, and he was upset and said he wished he could do something. To my knowledge, he never did. I told my own mother, because, you know, the first story of when I'm 8 years old to the time that I'm 18, there was constant abuse going on that she allowed or turned the other cheek to. I had a nervous breakdown at 18 years old and told her that the things that her husband was doing to me, and the answer that I got was, why would a man want a little girl when he can have a woman like me? That was a huge, huge emotional block to my power and my worth throughout my adulthood. I was gone by that night, because I also reported it to the vice principal of my school, who told me that he couldn't do anything. He was very sorry because I was 18. He didn't even call the police, and he didn't direct me to call the police. So the courage that it took for me for 10 years to finally say something, nobody did anything. And God bless my dad. When I told my dad, I had already left the house, and he said he knew something like that was going on, and he was sorry to hear it. And I asked, why didn't you do anything? He said, well, I figured if it was bad enough, you would ask to come live with me. When the moment that the innocence of a child is disrupted, they grow up. They grow about 20 years. They age, rather. They age. And it is very lonely. The moment it happens, it is devastating beyond anything you could ever comprehend. Anything that you could ever know if you haven't gone through it. And it is absolutely the right thing, no matter how old you are, it is absolutely the right thing. When somebody breaks the rules, when somebody crosses your boundaries, it is absolutely the right thing to go to a trusted adult. Somebody that you always feel safe with. Absolutely. Go. You just keep going until you get someone to answer you. So the point of this in the path of shamanism is that it is a very lonely road. It can be a very lonely road. It is a very alone road, and it is empowering, and it is the story of the wounded healer. It is Chiron. It is the hero's journey. If any of this hits a chord with anyone that's watching, know that you're not alone, and I have successfully moved beyond so many challenges. I'm amazed at the transformation that I have gone through in my life. And everybody that I have ever come across, including the men and women or other children that were part of my abuse, I am grateful for that. It was wrong. It's not glorified. It's not okay. It doesn't justify somebody's actions. But if you allow it to continue affecting you, PTSD or personality disorders, depression, and you're not reaching out and getting help, I'm going to say something that's really strong, and I'm going to say it from a place of accountability. You are re-victimizing that little girl or that little boy inside of you if you as an adult do not take accountability from the time that you are considered an adult and you are not caring for yourself. You need to love yourself enough and love that little girl or that little boy enough that you will be raw and vulnerable and open and get the help that you need, whatever that looks like, whatever translates well for you. So I'm going to close this other session, and if you're still hanging out with me, cool, I appreciate it. I am a shaman, as I'm on the road to be a shaman. I am shamanism. I am. Thank you.